Hello.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hello and welcome to the June Postman Office Hours, APAC and EMEA. But Joyce, my manager, says I can pronounce it as EMEA. I don't know. Yes, so I'm Meenakshi, developer advocate at Postman. Raj is going to be calling me Meena throughout the stream. Postmanauts call me Meena. So anybody on chat want to refer to me directly, just feel free to go ahead and call me Meena. Raj, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Subramania Raj. They call me Raj, and I'm a member out of Postman product support team, and I'm based out from India. So this is my third stream and first one with Meena. So excited.
Third, you told me this is your second.
The first one with Meena.
I thought you said this is your second stream.
No, little experience.
Then maybe I explained like too many details to you about how this stream was about. You're all a pro.
Always to learn.
So
There are people in.
we're streaming to LinkedIn, Twitch, Periscope, and YouTube. And I don't know if there's a fourth one. It's confusing to track, but I can see a lot of people on chat. So hi Aaron, hi Kalyani, hi Manasvi, Manish. Just oh, Raj is here every other month.
Salami there.
Yeah, Raj, you lied to me.
No.
Okay, so hello everyone. Just feel free to hang around on the chat and ask us any questions that you have about Postman, about working at Postman, about anything basically. And just also, since there are so many people, feel free to tell us where you're from as well, right?
Yeah.
So let's begin. Usually, we don't have a deck, and the office hours and the Postman 101 plus office hours. This is a different format that we started from the last time. So we're experimenting with a couple of things. What we're going to do today is we're going to go through a Postman for Developers collection, and we're going to try in all of the things that you can do with Postman, after which we'll move on to the office hours bit of things, where you can ask us any questions that you have. Meanwhile, just feel free to ask us questions anyway, and we'll be there to help you out. Otherwise, Alami is on chat, so we'll put all the pressure on him. But there is a deck though, a fancy deck, which has like 2 slides. So I'm going to go through it anyway. Okay, yes. So these are our full names, but as you know, they're pretty long. So you can just call us Raj and Meena. What we're going to do is do an intro to Postman, have a walkthrough, share some resources, question answers, and the office hours. But for all of those probably who have joined the stream for the first time or haven't played around with Postman as much, do you want to know what Postman is? You want to answer that, Raj? Now I'll put it on you.
Yeah, definitely. There are a lot of people just coming in and saying hi. First of all, hi to you all. So let's begin. So Postman is an API development platform which helps you do API testing, development, and all the works that you want to get done end to end. So that's a upgrade from where we are, and there's a lot of things that are really happening in. And I would like you all to go to web, test out all the features in, and if you miss anything, we are anyhow here, so we'll explore them right now.
Yeah, and if you find bugs or if you're stuck and if you're confused, then just straight up raise a ticket to support and Raj will help you.
I'll be there for a service. We'll drop in a link in the end where you can submit a request. Happy to help.
Okay, so what are we going to learn at the end of the first part that we're going to be experimenting with, the Postman for Developers collection? We're going to try sending requests we're going to inspect the response, see how to test responses, save examples to a collection, set variables, do some authorization bits here and there, and troubleshoot unexpected behavior. What is that? Okay. Okay. Enough of the deck.
Yep.
So
Yes, yes.
Raj here is going to share his screen and he's going to guide us through how to fork the collection that we're going to be using throughout the stream. And I'm going to share a link to that collection. So whoever's following along, meanwhile, just fork the collection and we can all try it out together.
Yeah, let's do that.
And I will try and respond to you all on chat. There are quite a few messages, so it is a bit overwhelming. But Alimi, if you're here, please help us out in the chat.
Okay. So, do you want me to share my screen, Meena?
Yes.
Okay. Fine. So we are in the explore space where we can look out for the workspaces, APIs, collections, and everything that's shared publicly for users. So I think we'll start with the Postman office as we'll go and find the collection. So we can give it search here, Postman 101.
So
And
you're on the postman.com explore page, right?
Explore page. Yeah, you can either go to go.postman.co and hit explore button here. That should also take you to the same place. I hope all of you all are here. So I think, all right. And if you type on Postman 101 and maybe and office hours also, complete thing, you should be able to get a public workspace with the name Postman next to it. And hit click. The icon should be something as like the 4 dots. That should signify the workspace.
So you use the universal search that is there and you type in whatever you wanted to look for. You were specifically looking for this workspace that we're going to be using the stream.
Right.
And this is a workspace, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So even if somebody wants this link, we can post this in the chat if they want to take a quick look on that. Okay. And all right. So we have the second collection, right, Meena? Postman for developers. This is the collection.
Can you zoom in? Can you zoom in a bit, Raj?
Yeah, definitely. This one, Postman for developers. Okay. So one thing that we are looking is the overview section. If you click on your Postman workspace, it gives you an overview on what the workspace is actually trying to give you information about. So that one's here. So now we'll be concentrating on the Postman for developers collection. So now we want to work on this collection. So we wouldn't be able to do that. As you can see that there's a lock icon next to this and a request for access, which means that we either will need to fork this collection into our workspace to work on this, else we'll not be able to make any changes to it. And even the send button is disabled, right? So shall we go ahead and fork this one?
Okay, so this is a collection. The Postman for developers collection is part of the public workspace. And since we want to try out the requests and want to see the results or like go through the collection and the folders in it one by one, we will have to fork it, you're saying, to our own personal space, and then we can try it out, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So you can either fork the collection from here, from the 3 section that expands over here, either create a fork from here, or there's a readily available option here. If you click on the pane, you can click on fork, and let me maybe which and post it to your workspace. This is my personal workspace. I'll be
Okay.
moving it over there. I click on fork collection.
So just a second, there's a question by
Okay.
Alan. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but
Okay.
he asked if it's possible to talk a little bit about global variables or environment variables and how to use them in URLs, parameters, and
Yeah.
tests.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure. We'll do that. I think
Yes.
we have a section somewhere that talks about variables. When we come there, we'll be definitely talking about that.
Awesome. Cool.
Okay. Um, so this is the collection. This is the collection that we want to, and to know what this collection mainly does, we can hit on a documentation icon here, and then click
One
on
more
new complete.
interruption. So there's another question by Shiva Krishna,
Yeah.
and he says, "Can you explain the difference between the Postman 101 and Postman for Developers collection?" So, starting the last office hours, what we had done is done a Postman 101 collection. So that was really diving not very deep, but at the surface level into how to send a request, how to get a response. But we tried to make this collection, the Postman for Developers, a more developer focused one. So this is more of an experiment for us right now. So we really need your feedback. If you think that some other things should be part of this collection, then just let us know right away, because we might work on converting this collection to a webinar tomorrow. And we're using the opportunity of this office hours to test out the collection and to see how you'll like it, or if you'll have any feedback about this. So, yeah, this is the one that we're using in this stream today, the Postman for Developers,
Yeah.
the one that Raj spoke to his own workspace.
Right. So yeah. So going forward. So this is the documentation to know what the collection mainly does. So as we started out for a quick start, the first we have to fork the collection, select the folder where we want the collection to go in, and what does the collection basically tell us about. These are the few other strings, but let's start with the first request maybe. And also once you have forked, you can hover over the name of your fork, and that should also tell you from which workspace did you get that from. Okay, all right. So I'll hit on the first folder, and we'll go through what the folder has to say for us. So first is a basic explanation on what API is and what we are about to do in this one. So here we have to send in a request. So for this folder, we'll send a series of requests to an API that Postman is called as Postman Eco. So we will try to test this and try all the various HTTP methods here to see if that works all right. Okay. So going on for first request, it's Postman Eco request, and here you can hover over the different HTTP words that you want your API to hit. So I'll hit on send, and that's the response that I get. This also confirms that your application or the endpoint is working fine. And when you're working on web, I think I should have mentioned that first. If you're working on web, you should be able to select agent that you want. You can either click on auto select, that should auto select the cloud agent. If not, you can select the desktop agent for that. Right.
Did
So
we talk about the Postman Echo endpoint and what it does?
no, Mina, I left that for you.
Okay, very convenient. Yeah, the Postman Echo is basically an API that we do a lot of testing with. It's a really simple API, and it's actually useful to test any of the Postman features, because all it does is just produces an echo. So if we're using the get endpoint, and if I get certain parameters, like if I mention those parameters, those are the same parameters that I will receive back as well from the endpoint. So if you give it something, you get it back. That's what the echo endpoint does, and it's really basic. So if at any point of time you want to test out certain things with Postman, the echo endpoint is like the perfect endpoint to test with. Not really complex. It just gives back what you give it, and you can just play around, test a response, save a collection, like all of these features which you want to test out in Postman. You don't want a feature heavy API, but just a very basic one. That's when the Echo API can be really useful.
Right. And also in between, I think a lot of users are kind of commenting and asking questions. We'll be answering that, or else I think Alimi would be doing that. But meanwhile, when we get a chance to look at the query questions, we will definitely answer them. Okay. Yeah. So first we had get request done. So next we'll go up for post. Post request, like the verb, I think the post request is used to update of your endpoint. You want to make changes to the endpoint or send any data, you can use the post method.
Yeah, so mostly to create a resource, like if you're posting something, if we are creating a live stream, if there's an API to create a live stream, then there will be like a post request to create a live stream, and then the resource is actually created. So that's what the post request is used for. This one is a pretty basic one. Again, whatever you post in the body to the Echo endpoint is something that will be returned, is my guess.
Yeah, that's right. We
Yes.
get whatever we posted in the body. But again, one question: what is the difference between post and put? Amina?
Yeah,
That's
so
the
put is usually a method that's used to update or modify certain things. Say, for example, I do a post request to create a live stream, and I have parameters as the time of the live stream, the name of the live stream, and say I want to update the timing of the live stream, then I'd be using a put method to update, make changes to a resource that is already existing.
Okay.
So that's what it does.
Okay. Fine. Yes, I'm just sure that we can type in whatever the data is there within the body, and that should be seen in this endpoint at least for the echo. So the fourth request is delete, and as the verb mentions, you should be able to delete an endpoint that has been created, either with the post request or something that is already existing. You should be able to do that. But in this case, since it's an echo service, you will not be able to have a real deletion in place for this. So that's about the first folder where you have send requests going on. Second one, let's expand the documentation to see what it is. And if I guess this right, Meena has left the stream. I'll be waiting for her to be back. But until then, let me try to continue. So so let's just read what the second collection does. So in this, we are going to use the test scripts. So tests allow you to ensure that the API is working as expected to establish the integration. So maybe you have a service and you want to test how that endpoint works to know if the data is present or if you're getting the right responses. For this purpose, you use the test section. Again, if I hit here, you see your endpoint again. We are using a normal echo endpoint, and you have two parameters for bar 1 and 2. And before that, I'll click on test section to see what do we want to test in this case. So we are testing if the endpoint returns us a 200 OK response. So I'll hit on send, and yeah, I get a right response, and that's what this one checked. In other case, let's say that we want to check something else, maybe a value string or value check, or maybe even a string for that matter.
Am I back?
Yeah, hi, Meenakshi.
Okay, sorry. And we can see your screen now.
Yeah,
I think, yeah, we
I
can see
hope
your
it
screen
was.
now.
I hope it was live until
How long did I leave you for?
almost 2 minutes, not much.
It's
But yeah,
raining here suddenly, so
okay. Okay, okay.
expect the worst.
Expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about the test response, Meenakshi. So the second folder, and we are trying to see what it does, and we are looking into the code snippets that are already present within Postman. You can find it in pre-requests and test section. So in the first base, we checked out the 200 response, which was working fine. So now we wanted to check if we have a string, maybe response body has a string. Maybe I'll just copy paste whatever is here and see if I get it. Run. It's and yes, successfully hit a error. It should. So this is not how it works. So there we have an error. So we need to fix this. So this is how you understand whether whatever you're looking for in the body is right or wrong. And I think for the second time, is Meena with me?
Yes.
Okay. Oh,
Sorry.
this is real silence. So I thought she's not there. But yeah, here you understand the test results, like what the body does, and if you're getting the expected response or not. So we'll should we go ahead and try to fix this and see if we are able to get a response right. I'll try with foo1 maybe and see if I can get it. No, Meena, what could be
Well
the
done.
what could be the
Oh no, I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to hit some right response, um, something that works right, so that I can say that this works fine. Oh, or maybe it's looking for a string and I do not have anything particularly string in my body, right? Maybe.
What happened? What happened to the test?
Yeah, there's an argument that's missing, which is colon.
So we
This is
have pm dot response to have body. It should be a JSON string, no? It
yeah,
shouldn't it?
yeah. It should be. That's what I was trying to hit. Something that works fine, and because there's nothing there, I don't know what ran there, but there should be something that works properly. Look, something code name has a string. I think I used this one, right?
Okay, so there are quite a few snippets at the right side to help you with
Right.
like regular stuff that you want to test when a response comes from the API.
So yeah, let's go to the next section, save to a collection, and see what it does. So again, I'll click on open and save to collection. An example is tightly coupled request and response pair. I think here we want to save the responses that we get from the service and save it as an example so that we can refer them for a future reference or maybe use it in for a next request. So, Meena, you want to add something? Because I've been going on for a while.
Yeah, I wanted to. No, I was following up on chat. I'm just overwhelmed by the number of messages that are there. Did we talk about or just send the request? Send the
Okay,
request.
fine, fine. Okay, yes, I have a
So since
response.
we're using the Echo endpoint and we keep using it a lot of times to test different things, and it's a very basic, not feature heavy, but just enough to test a lot of feature endpoint. Danny told us this in a previous live stream, so I can even say, give me 1 MB of JSON data and it returns it back. So this is what we've tried with the echo endpoint. We've given parameters as type JSON, and in the path variables, we've said, give me one MB of data, and that's what has come back. What I wanted to ask was, in the previous ones, have we spoken about how to see the details of the response? So like the
No,
state shows
I have
up
not
there.
done that. I've not done that.
Okay.
I've not.
So right next to like the save response button there, all the green stuff. So this is the response size, and you can tap on that to actually see details of what comes back. So
Yeah.
how much body, how many kbs the body is, how much the header is, and the time it took to get a response back. So it's 2.68 seconds, and the status code that is returned once we get the response. So this is pretty useful information for us, and this is how we can inspect details of the response that comes back after you hit an API.
Yeah.
So talking about this one now, so
Sorry.
now that we have, oh yeah, oh, so this is new. Is this new? The
No,
network.
it's already the network tab.
Okay.
It chooses the
Yeah,
desktop
I
page
never
in
ended
front.
up looking at it. Okay, so it shows the IP address through which the request was sent.
Made. Yeah. And all of
Uh,
the certificate for the request that we sent, the API, and all of the details. I think mostly it shows you the network details in this section if you hover over it.
Nice. Okay, so for save to a collection, this particular example,
Yeah.
um, the request is get an example worthy echo, which we've already got. So now let's try and save response, the blue,
Yeah.
and let's save as example.
Okay. Right. So I'll maybe change it as something new, for example, maybe to differentiate between what we have, the endpoint name, and one that we have as a request.
Okay, or otherwise you can just say
Okay.
successful response or something. So
Right.
usually how it's useful these examples is, let's say I am a new developer on the team and I have access to this collection, and it could be an API that you cannot hit as often, or there are some restrictions. But even before hitting the API, I have enough information to understand what kinds of response I can expect from the API, and that is where examples are useful.
Yes.
So a lot of times, usually it's like different examples for different status codes also. And whenever we mock a collection, like whenever we create a mock, which we haven't spoken about yet, but the collections get used in the mock. So we can talk about the mock in detail whenever it comes up, but examples get used in the mock as well. So
Right. So I think we are here. We have saved it as an example here. I think earlier you used to find this next to a request somewhere here, and now there's a detailed and a clear view that you will not lose upon your examples that have been added. So it is. I'll just kind of force close all tabs so I have a clean view. So shall we go to the next collection folder, Mina? I
yes,
think that
yes.
talks about environments and something. Ellen, someone had a question about that. So I'll hit on document. I'll hit on view complete documentation, and I want to go to get and set variables, and let's see what it has to say. Variables allow you to store and reuse values in your requests. So, and by storing a value in a variable, you can reference it throughout your collections, environments, and requests. So let's see how we can do it here.
Okay.
I'll hit on first request, and we have a URL. I'll also just take a look at what the second response is. So here we have something as eco-based URL. I think that's how we want to save it as.
Hmm.
So we can, if there's no environment already, okay, if I have created a Postman API, so let me try to create a new environment.
Or
Um,
otherwise, what we can do is, since the echo based URL is
okay,
so one reason why we want to make a variable out of it is because we just want to reduce the duplication. We want to extract it out to a variable. Tomorrow, if the endpoint were to change, you would have to make this change in every request. So It's
Right.
better off when we can use a variable and we just change the variable in one place.
Okay. Okay.
And there are different kinds of variables, like there's different scope of variables. So the smallest, there is a collection scope, like how Raj has clicked on the collection here and we can see the variables. And there is a funny variable called proposal, which is empty right now. Yeah, so this is the scope of the collection. So that
Okay.
variable will resolve to a value only for the Postman for Developers collection. If you were to use the variable in the above collection, the Postman API, it will not resolve to a value because it's limited to the scope of this collection. So maybe for this one we can use it as a collection variable. Do you want to make
Okay.
the
No, yeah, we can use it as a collection variable. So there's one method that I think would be easier. This is what I found. So if you click on this one and click on set as variable uh, and set as a new variable and type the name, maybe echo base URL, and select the scope where you want to put it, like in either globals or environments or collection. And I select collection here.
So
And
global, if it was global, it would be available throughout the workspace. And if it was
workspace.
environment, then you need to actually make sure you select the environment. Once the environment is selected, that variable is available across collections that are using the environment.
Correct. Right. So yeah, I'll select on collection variable and then set variable. Yep, we have it. And if I go and cross check this here in my variables, we'll be able to see that. All right.
So do you want to send the request now?
Yes, I want to send it.
Okay, I
Right.
have played around with this echo a bit. What this request does is get a heartwarming echo. So, yeah, it's very stupid, but I just was thinking of what line I can say in the echo. So, usually on mountains, people go up and then they're like, I love you, and all that. So, we just put an I love you, Cooper here. And yeah, that's what we sent and that's what we got back. So, now in the next one,
We
okay,
have it.
in the next one, yeah. I think Cooper
This
says
one.
I love you too over here. So
Oh, okay. So I think we. Oh, I love Cooper. So do we get the response? I don't think we get a response here, right?
so we need to understand actually what this is doing. Like in the second request here, this post request, the body that we're sending has the key as proposal response, but it has a value called proposal. And where
Okay.
is this value coming from? So when you do a double curly braces in the script, that means it is the value of a variable. But we only set the echo base URL variable manually, right? So there needs to be some place in the previous request where we've actually set this proposal variable. So maybe Raj, we can go back to the previous request. Let's check where we've
Okay.
sent.
Right. So I think in the test scripts we
Very
have sent
smart.
it collection variables. So I think we'll go here and check. And yes, we have it here.
So what we're doing, yeah, probably you can go back to the get request, the test.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so we're doing this via scripts. One of the ways to set a variable was by hand, like Raj selected it and set as variable, clicked it. The other one is if I want to use it through the scripts. So we're using the script to set a collection variable over here. And that's what got saved in the collection, the proposal and the value that comes back with it. I love you, Cooper. That gets set to the collection, and that's happening through the script. And in the post request next, if you go to the post
Yeah.
request, yes, that's what is being used over here.
Right. Right. So that's why we get it. That was good. Nice. So even when we're talking about the same variables, right? I think we'll even talk about environments maybe. So someone who has questions on environments will also be resolved. Uh, okay. Nina, are you there with me?
Yes, I'm there.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So this either you can click on this section here to create environments, or you can have a quick view here and either click on add from this section. So easier way is hover over the third icon, click on environment and say create section maybe. And
So this is a new environment that you're creating.
right, and I'll add a variable, maybe this say URL, and I'll be using same.
Also, Sarthak is asking, will that variable be saved forever?
Will be if like I think he is asking based on the scripts that he is using. Like we have used scripts, right? I think based on that, yes.
Yeah,
If
so
you do not,
maybe one question, Sarthak, is like what Raj is asking is whether are you talking about the ones that we set via the script, or are you talking about the ones we set manually? Which is okay, so we can go back to the environment while
yeah,
Sarthak takes the time to respond.
yeah, like even in that case, right? Even if you add it manually here, and if you don't have any scripts that changes that value, that should still remain there. And even if you set it manually or not, if there's no changes that's happening in your request in test, I think it should pretty much stay there.
Yeah, fair enough. So either the like if you set it through the script or you set it manually, the value should remain. But I just want to like, can we go back to the environment? I actually want to talk about the current and the initial value of the variable.
True, yeah,
Yeah. So we can click on the I information icon like next to.
true.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the initial value is something that is shared with the team, and this value is persisted on the Postman servers. So even if you were to access the collection or the environment after very long, or like if anybody else in your team accesses it, they will be able to see the initial value. The current value, however, is something that is local to your instance. So it's not persisted, and it's not synced with the Postman servers. So the current value is something that is going to be there only as like in your session. So that's something that might not be there forever. And if you share the collection, or if you're collaborating with somebody, the current value is not something that they will be able to see. How this helps is a lot of times we do not want to share a certain value that we're using. If it's really secure, like if it's a token, or if it's credentials or anything like that. So at that point of time, you can use a current value so that it doesn't get synced, but you can use it when you're using the collection, and somebody else can use their own auth token or secret whenever they're using the collection via the current value.
correct. And also, I think this current value is the one that is used while you execute a request. And that is important to remember. For example, let's say I have google.com maybe, and I save this. Okay, and also I want to choose this environment in my request. I can either choose it from here, or I can click on set as active from this button here. So let's say I use a URL, and that's coming from my environment, which is here. And now when I hit send, and let me open console for that matter to understand better. If I hit send, this is the one that's hitting, which is current value, which Meena was talking about, right? So this is the value that gets executed and not the initial value. Initial value remains synced, but current value is the one that is used for your that particular session. And also with that, I think there's one more interesting thing here, that there's persist all and reset all. If you would want to persist all values, if clicking on persist all, it will replace all the initial values with the current values of the variables. And if I hit on reset all of the values in the current initial will be replaced with the current. So I'll hit on persist all for this example, and you can observe this part. And if I hit persist all, even the initial value is changed, right? That was just to explain more about uh, the variables initial and current value. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've posted a link to a YouTube video which is called the Level Up series. They're like really small bite-sized videos, 1 or 2 minutes long, and they go through a small concept in Postman. So the current and initial value and what their importance is actually a question that comes up multiple times. So we've converted this into a level up. So hopefully that should also help you like refer to it and use it whenever you can. Yeah, I forgot. I'm looking at the chat messages. It's very tiny, but it can.
I think your voice was breaking there, Mina. So, so even I think even in the chat you can see a link where they have posted up the level up video that clearly explains you what the initial and current value does. So you can refer to anytime to know more about that. And okay, I think I lost Mina. So let me go forward until she comes back and asks me to start on something else. Um, okay, I'll click on basic authorization maybe next. Um, yeah, okay, I'll continue that for now. So this section here, I will click on basic auth. It's a common practice for, yeah, just to read out. So
Mom.
so so yeah, I mean we can hear you, Mina. Okay, so all right. So what the basic authorization does is that some APIs would definitely need a security, or you can only access such similar APIs using the authorization code. In that cases, we can go to the authorization tab next to param and either use, there are different methods how your API would restrict the access. So maybe there is no auth, this API key, this bearer token, basic auth, auth 2.2, and multiple other stuff. For here, since it's an echo, we just wanted to show you a very simple example, and that happens to be basic auth. The username is Postman, and the password is really a complex password. And when you hit send, that works out because there's actually not much authenticated here. But you get a response saying that your response is authenticated. But there are several cases that you can test it out and see if your requests work fine or not. And just for debugging cases, you might also use code section next to below your comments and see if it's authenticated and if all of your requests are coming out fine. And also, I think somebody from the comment section also mentioned about this. This is where you'll receive all the codes generated from Postman for your particular request. This would be the section here. Next is debug and troubleshoot. This mainly concentrates on how you can use Postman console to see if there's any error with your request, or if there's any warning or any additional signs that you can get out from your request. For this purpose, I think in the request part, you have your pre-request already added. And here we use console.warn, log, and other various other scripts. I think Mina is connecting.
Okay.
Whatever.
Can
Yeah,
can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you, Mina.
Okay. I'm sorry. It's raining. I didn't
Yeah,
plan. I didn't plan the rains. So
that's what you were mentioning. Expect the unexpected. Like it's the rain
Yeah.
is nothing.
This is my worst win on a live stream ever.
But no problem. So while you are gone, Meena, I just continued with the next request and folders before we run out of time.
Yes,
So I
good
reached
point.
the sixth request and the final one out of them. So we are here in console tab. So do you want to explain about it, Meena, about the console tab?
Yeah, so a lot of times, I think in the pre-request script or the test scripts, or just when you are sending a request sometimes and you want to see the headers that you send and what came back, just the way that you view things in a browser console, the same way you can view them in Postman as well. So I think what this example is trying to say is there are different levels of console logging. So there is a warning, there's like
There's a console log. The other one is information, and the other one is error. I think I lost Meena again, but again I'll
console
try
warn that we're
to.
using. Then there is console log. If you
Okay. I have hit send before Meena comes back. So if we click on console tab, and we can hit the console tab at the bottom, and there you should see the warning message one here, whatever we have entered in the previous script. So you get a warning sign next to the console if you use console.warn, and information info button you get the different icons depending on what you have set. Again, the console log for this matter, how do you use it? I might just to know if you're getting the right values, um, maybe write something, say, um, how do I write it? Just say, okay, I'll try to take a variable from environment. Okay, I'll try to get an environment variable, and I'll add it to a variable called and PM the key that I want is URL, and so I'll just write it as URL, and then see if I'm getting what I really want. I can write console.log and the variable name, and then when I hit send and hit send and look into logs, if I don't, I can even comment out these by selecting everything and command backshift that comments it out. I'll just clear this once again and try to hit send, and there it is. This is the first. This first one is the response, and next one is the thing that we got up from test. So it has successfully given us whatever we tried to uh, get back from the request. So
Hello.
surprise, we have Anemi here.
Hey, it's been a while.
Hello,
Yeah,
Anemi.
I
Happy to
think
have you.
Mina is having some internet issues,
Yeah.
so I'm just gonna join in quickly. I don't think you had much more to go through, right?
I don't have much more to go, but I'm just going to go silent now. Since the legend is here, I'm just going
It's fine. It's fine. Let me. So I was answering people on the chat, so you may have seen me posting on the chat, but let me see if there's any leftover
Asha.
questions. Are you actually? Was it the last one actually?
Yeah, I was in the very last
Okay.
request.
Nice. So maybe Mina is going to join again. Let's give her a chance. Let me just. She might join again. So once this 101 part is done, we do want to leave some time for extra questions. So yeah, we are still taking questions. Hopefully you've learned a lot from Raj, but maybe we can teach you even more. So yeah, if you have any questions, pop them in the chat, and we'll start answering them. So let me. I was answering questions in the chat, but I didn't even pay attention to what you were doing. So let me just quickly see. Send a request, data request, save to collection. get and set variables, basic auth, and debugging troubleshoot. Yeah, that's all. That's all. We had someone asking at the start about how to get started, and I think that's a very good.
Yeah.
Hey, Mina.
Hi, Nina.
Yeah, hi. I'm so sad. I've been trying since so long.
Hey, you know, when it doesn't want to work, it doesn't want to work. You can't just force it. It's fine. Raj did it beautifully. He went through the whole Postman 1-on-1. And we have a question in the chat. Let's see. I just got here, but I do have a question about what goes on pre-request where you go get cookies. I'm not entirely sure what the question is. What goes on pre-request where you go get cookies? So are you asking whether you wanna add cookies yourself to the request? Raj, can you open the settings tab in that request? No, of the request.
Yes.
Yeah. So for cookies, I believe here you have a few settings. Yeah. So there's a cookie jar that you can enable or disable, and that basically says whether you want to store or like keep the cookie stored or not when you send your requests. And I think there is an extra, at the top right, there's a cookies button. Here you can actually handle like which cookies are attached to the request or not, and you can add some or remove some. But it's all through the UI. That I don't think there's a that's not from pre-request scripts. I don't know if that answers your question.
Or maybe I think he wants to programmatically access cookies.
Yeah, I'm just seeing now. If I paste the request, which is where the data, but before I even send a request, that's gone and got cookies from the site.
I think that's very specific.
Yeah, I don't think unless you've sent it if you've sent it once before, it may be saved with the request. But if you've never sent it, it wouldn't be there. But I just have a colleague that sent me a very nice link so my colleague is called Udit, and I'm going to paste the link here so you can check it. Thank you, Udit. So yeah, that link will actually give you all the information you need to know. And we had other questions. Let's see. Can we get the recordings?
Yeah. In general, just about the pre-request script, I don't think we've touched upon it much today. So just anything that you put in the pre-request script runs right before the actual request goes through. So it's particularly useful if you want to set cookies or you want to set something in the header that you want to calculate, or like you want to do some scripting before the request actually goes through. That's when the pre-request script is useful, and the test is something that is useful for once you get the response, and usually your scripting stuff based on the response that you get. So
actually, can you go in the headers tab quickly?
Yeah.
And click the hidden ones.
Yep. So we have here.
Okay, yeah. So there's cookies here, but these are, if you see them before you send your request, it's because we set them. It's Postman adding them. It's not the URL you're trying to reach. So these are Postman cookies and not whichever channel you're trying to reach. Abe is asking if you can show how to set the dark mode.
Set the dark. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to settings, and we have the dark mode. Somewhere here.
themes.
No, that was there. Yep.
There.
Oh,
Alimi and me are nicely watching you struggle.
So yeah, settings, themes tab, and then you have the choice between the two.
the dark.
Do we have any other questions? We're still here for probably 5 minutes. So if you want to get your questions in before we close it. And just when I'm back, apparently Mina's connection is now just perfect. So I can just give it back to Mina and just make myself
We wanted to
disappear.
stay. We wanted to stay.
Yeah, I'll
She's asking about the theme.
Right.
yeah. So yeah, there's a theme tab here. So that's the one you're looking for.
And you can choose light or dark.
Okay, I will put myself out of the stream. I'll keep lurking just in case I need to go back on, but otherwise I'll give it back to Mina. Bye-bye.
Bye, LMA. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, he's here. I yeah, now suddenly after he's come, my connection is better. See.
It's a connectivity.
So Keith Nicholas has a question. Is there a forum I can ask the question? I'll try and write it up better because it is in Postman cookies. It's cookies from the site. Sure, Keith. So there's lots of places we can actually help you. And we have all the resources. Raj, can you go over to the workspace that we forked from, the Postman 101 plus office hours?
Yes, let me just switch the theme. Maybe right.
And you don't like the dark.
Very gloomy. So I'll click on forked from. So here's from where I came in. Or you can also just type Postman 101 and office hours. You should see the workspace here.
Yep.
I'll click on there, and that should take me back there.
So what's on this workspace and why we're going back to it is because in the overview page of the workspace, my colleague Sean, who's also going to be doing the office hours at 11 a.m. Pacific time tonight for me, day for him and them. So he's really beautifully put out all of the resources that you can actually use to ask questions. So the office hours happen on the first Tuesday of every month. So we'll be here to answer any questions if you have. Meanwhile, if you have questions, the community forum is a really friendly place, and there are a lot of really active participants in the community who are willing to help and discuss similar problems. Apart from that, the Learning Center has a documentation of all of the features that we're using in Postman. So you can find your answers there as well. What I'm going to do is paste the link for this workspace again in the chat so that it stays with you all. Meanwhile, Raj, you can look at the other questions if there are any.
Yeah. So, Shiva Krishna asks, can you give a quick recap about debug and troubleshoot? Okay. So, I'll just go back to the workspace where I had it. Again, the whole session is I think it's recorded. And also, one where Meena has given you a link where you have a level up sessions. There are like shorter videos that exactly explains you what you need to do, and that also I believe that includes consoles in there. But in any way, I'll just try to hover over that. So what we actually do is, in this case, we have added console warn, log, info, and error section that is listed in the prerequisite script. And when we hit on send, we try to see the value and how that has been flared in using the console tab at the very bottom. So if you click on that, that should pop up and you should be able to look all of the data. And apart from that, even if you have sent a request, right, if you have done get, you should be able to view certain sections, like what was the head network, what were the headers, what were the response body that you received. All of them should be listed in the console tab. And also, as I mentioned, right, you can use console tab. I think taking up the last example that I did was taking something from environments. In this case, it was this one. So I used one of the code snippet from here, and then whatever I want to check, I can log them using console.log, and that should show up in the console tab below.
So it's similar to how you would use the console in the browser. You can basically log everything that you do. Shiva Krishna, I'd have a suggestion. So you can actually try out everything that we did throughout this live stream by forking the Postman for Developers collection. So that you can try it out in your own time, go through any of the folders. And what we really like is if you have feedback, you can actually even comment on the collection. So just feel free to add comments on top of the collection. Raj, do you just want to show the comment, how to comment?
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
sure, sure. So let's say I'll go back to the
Or just you can
original.
just use this one, the one
Okay,
like
okay,
just use
fine.
this collection. Yeah, maybe we can just
Yeah.
show where the comment thing
Okay,
is.
so let's say you have this request and you want to comment out on this particular request. You can actually click on comment section, that is the second icon below documentation, and you should be able to ask anything. Ask,
So after the office hours, if you have any comments for us, and this chat is over on YouTube, but the collection is still right there. So just feel free to add any comments that you have or any questions again about this collection specifically. So okay, Ishan Shinde asked, can you tell OAuth 2 and auth? We're almost at the end, but we can go through this briefly. Probably, Raj, if you can scroll over to the
okay,
authorization tab.
sure.
Yeah. And maybe in
And
the type. Yeah. So there's a couple of options here. There's basic auth, there's OAuth 2. So if it's a different website, if it's a different app that you actually get the token from, you can configure it here to get the token. And once you get the token, you can use it subsequently for all of the requests. I'm just checking if there's a link in the Learning Center for OAuth 2.
yeah, there is actually.
Shiva asks, Meena Raj, can you share the link to follow these sessions on a weekly and monthly basis? We do have a link. I'm going to post that on the chat, Shiva. So there's a couple of live streams that we do throughout the month. We have the office hours on the first Tuesday of every month. Besides that, every Thursday, we usually have different live streams with guests that come on the live stream, and mostly Almi and Joyce who are hosting it. So you can follow along on the Learning Center upcoming live streams to know what's coming up for the month. And I guess with that, let's end today's stream. I'm there to end it. I don't think, I'd be here to end it.
Cool. Thank you all. I think there were a lot of questions today. Thank you all for joining the session.
Yes. Thank you so much for all of your questions, for bearing with my internet connectivity. If you are in India anytime and want to enjoy a good weather and not so dependent Wi-Fi when it rains, you can come visit Pune. So this is what you can pick up from this live stream. Besides, I think if you have any comments about the collection, just feel free to comment on the collection because it's part of a public workspace and you can do that. So flood the collection with comments. We look forward to it. W. Freeb says, thank you for a very informative stream. Bye. Thank you, W. Freeb, for
Thank you.
attending and being with us this entire time. Thank you, Rahul. And Raj, any parting words?
Yeah, I think people were really extremely lucky to have Cameo. Our name is Cameo. The first time that I had, and yeah, it was great making the session. And thank you, Meena, for including me in the stream. And thank you all.
Including you. You were hosting it for majority of the time.
Like, happened.
Yeah. So the next time, whenever somebody's internet is flaky and they need like a very dependable backup, I'm going to refer you, Raj.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Follow along
Sure.
on the links that we shared, and you can follow everything that we did throughout the stream, after the stream as well. For anybody in the Pacific time zone, there is going to be another office hours with Sean and Wu at 11 a.m. Pacific time, as far as I remember and can calculate the time zone difference. Cool. So see you. Have a nice day. Stay safe and bye. Yeah.